As the liberals go into absolute panic and meltdown mode over the inevitable landslide election of Donald J. Trump, they've stumbled on something and they haven't even quite figured out what it is that they've stumbled on or what it means. And so they give it their liberal logic, and of course, they're coming up with the wrong answer, which is fine because it just means they're going to continually lose on this issue now. But I thought, why not break it down and show them exactly what the problem is?
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. This is the place where you come to hear me pontificate and give you my rants, my ravings, and my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Once you are, smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of all of my insights, because there's absolutely nothing else like me anywhere else on YouTube. That ain't bragging. That's an undeniable, verifiable statement of fact. Hey, welcome to the Afternoon Drive. While Nikki Haley starts to reveal that she really is a rhino, a Democrat dressed in Republican drag, now she's out there talking about as a child she was persecuted for being brown. I'm sorry. I just recently learned that she was of Indian descent. I'm sorry, does she look brown to you? She looks tan sometimes, and sometimes she looks, pretty pasty white. And I saw some pictures of her high school yearbook, and yeah. So this idea that she was growing up oppressed, the funny thing is there really was a very brown guy, well, actually two running for the GOP nomination. Tim Scott, the congressman from South Carolina who was appointed to Congress by Nikki Haley. He's now out of the race and has endorsed Donald Trump. Didn't even endorse the governor that appointed him, but endorsed Donald Trump. And then, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy. And there's no doubt that he is non-white. You don't ever hear Tim Scott or Vivek Ramaswamy ever talk about the color of their skin and how they're a victim. In fact, most conservatives, and I think even now most Americans, they're sick of that. They're sick and tired of hearing, especially from professional athletes, talking about how the system is rigged against them, and yet they're being paid hundreds of millions of dollars for playing a game. And I would challenge them to go to a brown country and think that you are going to be compensated hundreds of millions of dollars there to play a game. And so when you see these people and the level of success that they have achieved, and I'm not against them having success on any measure. They've earned it. Enjoy it. Talk about how, hey, you know what? Every American, every person has something that they have to overcome. But aren't you glad we live in a country that gives you that opportunity, that if you've got the drive, if you've got the ability, if you've got the determination and the willpower, you can make it happen. That they don't talk about it that way. And that infuriates many of us who have our own set of challenges, and yet we don't feel that somehow we're a victim. And so that playing the victim card over and over, and now Nikki Haley has done that, and I think it's killing her in New Hampshire. She just doesn't realize it yet. And the ad that Donald Trump has been running in New Hampshire, talking about her stripping away Social Security, that's killing her as well. But liberals are finally caught up to the fact that no matter what they do, the Republicans overall, in vast majority, are going to nominate Donald J. Trump to be the guy. and all the other things that they've tried with the legalities are not in any way blunting or stopping the Trump train. It is on a dead heading to Washington, D.C. And so they've begun to look at something that's caused them great concern, that blacks and minorities in record number are breaking for Donald J. Trump. Nowhere has this been more fun to watch, the reaction, than over at the Young Turks, where Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur were breaking this down. And of course, you can see in Anna's face this, how can these people be so stupid? Let me translate what that means. How can these black people, how can these Hispanic people be this stupid? Oh, there's nothing racist about thinking that way, is there, Anna? You know, it kind of goes back to when Joe Biden said that if you don't know you're supposed to vote for him, you ain't black.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
They don't even understand the arrogance of that, and how you're basically telling an entire race of people, this is what you ought to think because we, the white people, are telling you to think that way. You don't find that racist at all, that they just automatically have to be Democrats. And Cenk Uygur and Anna were breaking this down, and this is very interesting.
Despite all of the negative coverage in regard to Donald Trump's rhetoric and in some cases policies toward Black and Latino voters, fact of the matter is he has been just increasing his support more and more. Every poll shows that he is getting more support among Black and Latino voters. And Trump is averaging, I can't even believe this, 20% of Black voters and 42% of Hispanic voters.
So the average for the last 50 years has been Republican presidential candidates getting 9% of the black vote. So if it goes to 20%, let alone Hispanics going up to 42%, the Democrat has almost no chance of winning. Those numbers are unrecoverable. So they barely win when it's 9%. They cannot sustain 20% of black folks leaving the Democratic Party and voting for the Republican. So why is it happening? There's three main reasons. One is what Anna just mentioned, enough with taking them for granted and never delivering on any of your promises. Look, there's tons of issues that are not related to race, but that still affect black people just as much as they affect anyone else that they didn't deliver on. But on voting rights, that was a very specific promise that they made. And they were adamant about that promise, and they painted it as, of course, no brainer, no question. There was two things that they said were like definites: voting rights and minimum wage, higher minimum wage. And those were the first two things they threw under the bus.
Well, first of all, there's two pieces of information here that I've got to deal with. Cenk says that the reason that the blacks and the Hispanics are pulling away from the Democrats is, they failed on voting and on minimum wage. That's not it, Cenk. That's not it. 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 You're close, but you're wrong. It's on everything, Cenk, that the Democrats treat black people and Hispanic people and other minority groups that are here. They keep them down. They keep them at a poverty level so that they are dependent on, quote, the government to take care of them. And what they have to do in exchange for that is vote Democrat. And what's happening is people are beginning to look around and saying, for 50 years you've been promising me the promised land, and none of that's happening. You've done nothing for me. Every 4 years, you show up in my neighborhoods, you promise me all kinds of things and how life is going to be better, and that if I vote in a Republican, it's going to be the end, and they're going to put me in chains and shackles and back on a plantation somewhere. But you know what? That didn't happen. And it didn't happen under Donald Trump. In fact, He had all kinds of programs going on where businesses were coming back into minority neighborhoods, and minority neighborhoods were being invested in, and they were being cleaned up, and they were being fixed, and there were places for us to shop, and there were places for us to work, and there was law, and there was order. And then came the summer of love and the chaos, and all that burned down, and these businesses said, we ain't coming back. And all of the liberals said, let's get rid of the police and defund the police, and we're no longer going to prosecute things like shoplifting. And so we've got no place to shop because the stores don't want to stay open because they're getting ripped off and nothing's being done about it. And they're even making YouTube videos of just walking into stores and wiping off an entire shelf of stuff in a bag and walking right past the security guard who's thinking, I'm not going to get killed over a bunch of shaving cream. And so our neighborhoods are war zones again. They are literally just open toilets, festering with crime and feces, and just nobody wants to be here. But you show up and say, we can't have the orange man. We got to have pale, stale Joe because he's the one that's going to deliver for us. Well, he hadn't delivered jack. Barack Obama didn't deliver jack, but Donald Trump did. It's that simple. It's that simple. They also don't understand that the vast majority of the Hispanic people who are here, who came legally and made a better life for themselves here, don't like this idea of all these other people just being admitted in because they broke in and having everything handed to them. You know, there are a lot of Hispanics who own businesses and small businesses, and they've worked hard to make it. And now their tax dollars are funding a bunch of lowlifes hanging out in New York City hotels, and now New York City school kids can't even go to class because the schools are being emptied and they have to learn at home because the school buildings are now being used as migrant camps. And there are Hispanic people who own businesses are saying, I'm paying for that. I didn't come here to pay for that. And you wonder why they're breaking in record numbers for Donald Trump? So you think that because he gets up and he says mean things like close the border, that immediately 99.9% of Hispanic people are going to vote against him. No, they're not. And here's the part that they admit. Did you hear what Cenk said? That even when a Democrat, when the Republicans cut in and take 9% of the black vote, the Democrat has a hard time winning. And it's going to be impossible for a Democrat to win with Donald Trump taking 20% of the black vote and 42% of the Hispanic vote. You know what they're admitting right there? And he didn't admit it, but it's a Freudian slip. And I want to help you understand why the Democrats love illegal immigration. Because in reality, Democrat policies destroy the country. People have figured that out, that they don't work. It causes record unemployment, record inflation. It causes problems on top of problems on top of problems. It doesn't bring prosperity. It brings depression and devastation. Lawlessness, crime. So the only way the Democrats can keep being elected is to keep bringing in more and more and more and more minorities. From other countries who don't yet know or understand how America operates. He just admitted that. He just admitted that that's why the Democrats are for illegal immigration. That's why they want no border wall. That's why they want an open border, because it's the only way they can get elected. And trust me, they are going to try to let these migrants vote in 2024. Trust me on this one. And they know it's game over if there's voter ID. You've got to prove your residency. Oh, and you got to vote in person on the day of. They know it's game over. Cenk just admitted the obvious, that without the minority vote, the Democrats can't win. But the problem that Cenk doesn't understand, and that most Democrats don't understand, is that the average black person, as far as the way they live their life, it's conservative. It's conservative. And again, the epitome of racism is the Hollywood version of the black culture. You know, think about how many movies you watch where, you know, the black culture, they're all what? Gang-banging pimps? No, they're not. Now, there's a criminal element, like there's a criminal element in every race. But the majority of the black families that are intact and succeeding, even if they don't identify as conservative politically, because they have been kind of culturally told that, well, no, the conservatives are against you and they're racist and they work against you. You've got to be with the Democrats. But when you talk to them one-on-one, I cannot tell you how many through the years, black people that I have had conversations with, that the conversation begins with them telling me they're a liberal Democrat, but when we talk about things like, well, do you discipline your children? Absolutely. I'm not going to have some child back-talking me, and my child's going to do their homework, and they're not just going to run the streets at night, and they're going to be successful, and they're going to play a sport, or they're going to be involved in business, or they're going to get a job. They're very traditional, value-oriented. As parents, they expect to be respected by their children. They certainly aren't down with all of the, shall we say, alphabet community wokeism. Not on any stretch of the imagination is the average black family down with that or good with that. And look how many black people saw right through things that were happening with COVID. And they wouldn't take the magic elixir, Love Potion number 9. And there's that documentary that was put out by PBS where Dr. Fauci was going door to door in a black neighborhood to talk to people about why they needed Love Potion number 9. And that one guy that came out, and I'm surprised they didn't cut this out of the documentary. And I mean, he just tore into Dr. Fauci about, we don't know what this is, and you're lying to us. And the next scene they cut to is Dr. Fauci getting in his chauffeur-driven car and putting hand sanitizer on. Now, of course, they're wanting you to think, well, Dr. Fauci, living, wanting to be safe. It's a pandemic, and he's sanitizing. No, again, you don't even get the visual. He had just finished talking to a black man whose hand he shook, and then that black man put him in his place about how he was tired of being lied to by Dr. Fauci. Next scene, Fauci, after having shaken hands with a black man, is now putting hand sanitizer on. Bump, ba-dum, bump. So again, Hispanic people, black people, especially Hispanic families, so many of them are of the Roman Catholic faith. They're very traditional, value-oriented. Family is very important in their culture. And the Democrats hate the family. They're doing everything they can to destroy the family. And a number of black people have begun to figure things out, like that abortion has done more to decimate their race than anything else, that welfare has decimated their race and destroyed their nuclear families. And those were all gifted to them by the Democrats, who with a wink and a nod are actually trying to eliminate these races on the one hand, and the ones that are still here, keep them subservient to the point that they are dependent on the government for everything, and thus they will say thanks by voting Democrat. And Cenk just outed it. It's what we've been saying for decades. And the reality is, black people and Hispanic people, they figured it out now. And they're done. They're going bye, 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 bye. They want to achieve, they want to be successful, they want to live the American dream, and they know the way to get there is not on the Democrat plantation, it is on the conservative libertarian freedom train. And that's why it's Donald Trump.